Okay, so good evening, everybody, and welcome to this session. It's primarily my main interest in, being a Reiki healer, that we provide, services and respite from the troubles, right, that people face. Now, some of the issues are physical, okay, but a lot of things arise from the chakras, the body chakras, and the blockages in the body system. So a lot of things happen which are traumatic, okay? And when those things which are traumatic happen, it is also affects the physical body, because basically a lot of negative energy is being stored in the body. If it is not let go of, it becomes a problem, right? So physical, it affects the mental, and mental also affects the physical body. So of course, all of you know that. But also what really brings someone to their knees is losing somebody who is close to them, right? So I welcome all of you today to understand what is happening here when there is grief, when you lose a loved one, and especially if it goes to a stage where it becomes a big block in your way, in the way of living life, right? This is when I have helped several people to sort out these issues in their mind with individual sessions. This can't be done in a group, but at the same time, the approach is, what I found is that having people, telling people that it's okay and things will settle down, right? It works till a certain extent, but there are definitely things that you need to do if it is affecting beyond a certain point. So I came across this particular solution when I worked on it with some people, okay, and I thought that it was a happy coincidence that it worked for 2 people, but then I did it for another 10 people, and I found that the combination of guided meditation along with Reiki, which I'm a Reiki Master, so that combination along with Reiki and guided meditation really helped to support people who are having these challenges. Okay, so let me introduce myself as well. My name is Vinaya, and I'm a Reiki healer. Along with that, I'm also a coach and an entrepreneur. Now, as always, right, when you face loss, when you face grief, then there are some stages of grief that generally people say, okay, these are 4, 5, 6 stages of grief, and things will get better, and let your emotions out and make sure that you don't bottle anything up, right? That is what is generally given, right? Saying that you should not suppress your thoughts, you should let it go, and things will get better. Now, in these 5 stages, right, which are, what are they? They are denial, anger, depression, bargaining, depression, and acceptance. These are stages that are generally considered the way that any loss in life is to be handled, okay? That you will go through these phases, and at the end of that, you should feel better, and acceptance means that you move on, everything is fine, right? But at the same time, what I have found is that different people, when they process it differently, will have different time for each stage, okay? It is not one stage is over and then the next stage starts. They are sometimes overlapping. They are often together, all mixed up, and you cannot go one after the other. That is one, okay? And every person deals with these things differently. So having said that, acceptance, it doesn't mean that if you say, okay, I have accepted that, everybody has to go, and there is a time for everything to be over. The time is over. They have been, suffering. Let go. Let me accept it. It doesn't mean that you can just let go that easily. Some attachments are much closer. Some relationships are much closer. And also when it is somebody who, you have been very close to, letting them go is also very traumatic. As traumatic as it is losing them, letting them go from the mind as well is also very, very traumatic, right? So what I, I have tried to do, first I used to do only with Reiki, right? I used to say, I will send you Reiki, you will feel better. And then that goes away. Now, to a large extent, it used to help people in terms of feeling better, but it was a temporary thing, right? Feeling better is that they feel, if they're not sleeping, they will sleep. If they are not feeling hungry or they don't have an appetite, all those things tend to get better. But also what happens is that sometimes for some people, it is not possible for them to let go in terms of acceptance, right? Moving on, as we call it, right? Moving on, living their lives more fruitfully, right? So I'd like to know from all of you, right, at this point of time, that what's the most challenging thing that you feel is, gets in the way, whether you have experienced that grief or not. What is it that you feel is the most challenging thing to do when you are when you're trying to handle grief? What is the most challenging thing? Can you share it with me? Go ahead, Sushma.
I lost somebody close recently, last year. So the challenging part for me was the conversations we used to have. There was no closure to those conversations. So that left with question marks. And I got angry and upset about it. At least there
Right.
should be some kind of closure to those conversations.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Which
Having
didn't
that.
happen,
Hmm.
and the other person completely ignored it and left the world.
And therefore, those questions are not answered. And
Yes,
you feel the anger that it should have been a
yes.
closed, right? Absolutely. And wonderful. Thank you for sharing that. Yes, Prachi, go ahead.
There's also many times there's also regret, because sometimes what happens is that when that person is with you, then you don't fully understand what the person was all about, and once they
Hmm.
go, and then you understand that certain things you might have misunderstood about them, or perhaps you feel that you have so much of time to kind of say all those things that you
Right.
wanted to, or solve the misunderstandings. But then when somebody goes away suddenly, then you realize that you just feel that if you could only, like, get hold of them and say whatever say sorry or whatever it was, or say thank you. So
Hmm.
that is a very big thing, and there's no way to do it. And that's regret, I think, is a big thing
It
also.
is. Yes, absolutely. I
I
think
was
that's
about
that's
to
right.
ask also,
Yes,
can guilt also become a part of that? Guilt can
absolutely.
also come.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's a, would you like to share? Would you like to talk about it?
Yeah, so I think between what she just said, I forgot her name, but yeah,
That's
regret
okay.
and guilt is what I think I feel. I
Hmm.
lost my father 5 years back,
Hmm.
and I didn't know that I was attached to him so much.
Right.
I myself didn't know, and I wasn't, because I'm not an emotional type of a person right from the very beginning. Even if, or maybe I try to show the world I'm the most emotional person, but I put a strong
Yes.
personality out
Correct.
that no one can see that I'm the most vulnerable person from inside. And he just went within 10-15 days, and I had so much pent up inside in terms of anger towards him also,
Hmm.
which I could not clear. And there was some guilt also that, maybe he was wanting to say on the very last day when he passed away. I still remember, from the last 5 years, it was not even a single day has not gone wherein I have not lived
Hmm.
the day he had died. That
Hmm.
the events of the day are still very, very right in front of
Vivid.
my eyes. Yeah,
Yes.
and I remember, whenever I'm sitting alone and not doing anything, that entire day will go through in front of my eyes. And unfortunately, whomsoever I've lost in my life until now, everyone had gone in a very, very similar manner.
Oh,
Very
okay.
similar manner, right from my mom, my father, last year my mother-in-law, and now 2 months back my sister.
Okay.
All have gone through hospitalized on an ICU bed, heart failure,
Hmm.
all
Hmm.
four. And I witnessed.
Hmm.
You're getting my point?
You were there. Yes,
I was
absolutely.
there. All
Absolutely.
all four. But when my mother passed away, I was very young, like 16 years old only. That was a long time back. But I was very badly affected when my father went. It took me almost a year to come out of that depression. But I feel I'm
Absolutely.
still depressed. I feel I'm still depressed about it, because I also could not have that closure with him. Could
Yes.
not say what I had pent, inside me, pent up from all these years. I had my anger towards him due to some conflicts we had, and I couldn't say that. I still remember his eyes, that he was wanting to say something on that day, and due to something I could not stay with him in the hospital, because it was at 2 a.m. in the night. We had just I had just come back from office. There's transactional and
So
not
many things.
important, but
Yes.
yeah, I could not stay with him in the hospital. And then this regret that if maybe I would have stayed that day with him, he might have survived, because all these years, whenever he had fallen ill and was admitted to the hospital, I
Hmm.
always used to be with him in the night, and I was the only person who used to take care of him when he got hospitalized, and he used to get hospitalized very often.
Hmm. Hmm.
Like 2-3 years, may once in 2-3 years, he used to get hospitalized due to his heart issues.
So
So
the underlying
so the
fact that
thought
you
and the
went
guilt I
away.
have
Yes,
is
that you were not there.
maybe, yeah, if I would have stayed, how superstitious we are in these circumstances,
Absolutely.
that if I would have stayed with him, he might have survived.
Absolutely. So guilt is the biggest contributor of bringing these memories again and again in front of you, and you have to let it go, because what happens is, the more you do that to yourself, the more you set
No, I
yourself
feel
back.
that I carry my baggage. I'm carrying that
Yes.
baggage all these
Yes.
years. Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you for sharing that. This is something which regret, right? Regret, guilt, upset, and these are thoughts that constantly, that's why when Sid said, would you like to do a session? I said, instead of doing the anxiety and just, the superficial issues, let us touch deep down, because I've seen a lot of people in these past few years who have faced tremendous loss, tremendous. COVID has wiped out literally, families
very
as a whole.
devastating COVID has been. Yeah, very devastating.
Absolutely. And not knowing, trying, like I had, I don't know if you read in the testimonial, right? I had a psychotherapist who came to me, and she said, I know everything. I know everything. I know the stages. I know how to, I know what to say. I have helped thousands of people in my career through this, right? But why am I not able to do it for myself? And she went to another psychotherapist herself, saying that, help me through this. And they tried a lot. And when she said that, I said, okay, let me do one session with you, because she was really going through something which was, if anybody sat in front of her with, eyes full with their problems, she would be really, she would not be able to compose herself. So then that becomes debilitating, right? So if it is interfering with your own life, interfering in the sense that you cannot move past it, that means that you need some support in letting it go. Letting it go, not, you can't let go of everything that is about that person. What you're letting go of is your, grief, the deep down, that all those emotions that you're talking about, all of you are sharing with me, very, very clear that there is somewhere where it is stuck in your mind, right? And whatever happens, it keeps coming back to that person or that day, or that, the lack of closure, not having done, said, or everything, right? So it doesn't allow you to move on in your
I
lives.
joke about it when I am in a lighter mood, that, the amount which I remember now, my father, the times I remember, he might be getting hiccups in his new birth that someone is remembering.
It is true. It is true. I mean, of course, it is, in the Hindu philosophy, it is that there is a connection between what you are today and your next birth as well. Okay, so my invisible advantage to these people who have departed is that they are able to leave it behind, right? Otherwise, they carry it forward, okay, because it is a soul's journey. That is what we believe, right? So the soul's journey should not be interrupted by anything. Yeah, Damin, you want to say something? Go ahead.
Yeah, so I just had this query. So I just recently lost my nanny like 5 days ago, and
sorry.
I was very much attached to her. I was it just felt like that my world just turned upside down, and she was battling cancer from past 11 years, and because of the age and everything, I she lost the battle. We lost her. So when I had lost my grandparents, I was 21, 22. I was still very young and belonging to a conservative family. My parents obviously did not allow me to visit them to the hospital because they were in a very bad condition and they didn't want me to see them like that.
Right.
So since then, since that time, I am 30 now, and since these 9 years, I have always regretted that I was not there to see them. I just saw them dead. I did not see them when they were alive. Be whatever. It really didn't make that kind of difference to me.
Right.
But I always thought that when they were gone, they have been there in my head since then. And same is the case with my nanny. Like, obviously being I am newly married, and being in my sasural, I cannot showcase the same kind of emotions what I feel, because I have to stay strong for them to see that, I am strong. I am not that emotional. But I feel that somewhere that feeling inside me is just killing me.
Well, I would say that you don't have to stay strong, because it is not something that is happening in front of you. And the more you suppress it, as you see the sharings here as well, right? The more you suppress it, the more it's going to come out, right? So I'm going to share one technique with you here itself in the session itself. So try that, okay? Try it and see how it helps you, okay? You don't have to do it along with me. I will share the technique. You can do it at whenever you want, okay? But the point is that being strong, not showing emotions, not letting it go when it comes up, right? So grief always comes in waves, right? So something someone will say, it will remind you, or you will see a photograph and it will remind you. It will come up in, just think about it, and yours is very, very fresh, very raw in your mind, right? So you must let it go. The earlier you start letting it out, the easier it will be to heal from it.
But is
Can
it
I
not
add one
considered?
thing? Mhm.
Yes.
Go ahead,
Is it
please.
not considered that showing our emotions makes us over emotional
Vulnerable.
person, and and people either make fun of it, or they take advantage of it.
Totally with
It
you.
is not, see, publicly now, she's sitting in a place which is very different, a separate place from where the rest of the family is, right? So you don't have to make a show of it. Grief is a very private, okay, affair when it comes to if you're away. Now you can see how she's affected by it, right? But at the same time, if she doesn't let it out, what's going to happen is it will turn inwards and it'll have bigger repercussions. It affects your health. It affects your mental health. It also affects your physical health. And the more you try to say that, no, I'm strong, right? The more it will push against you when you are least expecting it to, right? So when I share this with all of you, and you can do it whenever it is that you are able to, preferably here itself. If you're not able to, if there's too many people around you or whatever, you can do it later as well, just as effective, right?
And can I add one thing here?
Sure.
And I have seen and I feel, because I've seen this in myself only, that if you're not able to take the grief out, sometimes it becomes, ever present anger in you.
Absolutely.
In
Absolutely.
whatever way you communicate, and to whomsoever you communicate, whether your elders, your husband, your peers in office.
Yes.
I had reached one stage when after my father expired, after all my conversations, I used to have very stern voice when I used to do, I don't know, I was just angry.
It is. See, it is of course one of the
And then
stages identified.
being in that stage, it harms you professionally. Definitely, it did
Exactly.
a very big
Exactly.
dent on my this thing. But yeah, and even personal relationships, they end up screwing those, because your partner will
See,
give you a shut up
people
call
will give
once.
you, they will give you some time to
Yeah.
come out of it. Okay.
And then
But at the
they'll start
same
giving
time,
you shut up
they'll
calls.
also, yes, there is an expectation that, say that it is this thing saying that 10-15 days. Okay. If it is very close, 1 month. And I don't know who has set up these rules that it should
Timelines.
be, society says this, family says this, but for different people, which is why I'm doing this session. And I am talking about when you cannot move on, where it constantly is there in the background. This is something that you have to address. And having addressed it for multiple people, I do know that it is possible to let go of some things and bring that good times, right? Good times that you spent with these. Why are you missing these people? Because they were good, right? You used to enjoy time with them. You grew up with them. They are very close to you. There are, times where you feel that this was the one person who understood you, right? Or the one person who was your biggest support, right? So losing these people is obviously, it is going to be a big, big hole in your life. That is one. And how do you fill up a hole? You can't just say it doesn't exist, because again and again it comes in front of you. So having these thoughts, right, starts with letting go immediately after the loss. But what I found is not just having that immediate respite from it, but even later, it is interfering with people's thought processes, right? The fact that these thoughts, like Sonal said, it keeps coming back. There's not a day that I have spent when it doesn't remind me. And those memories are very vivid, right? Of having done and gone through it again and again. And the more you think about it, the more it comes in front of you. And the more you push it away, the more it comes in front of you. Whatever you do, it is there in front of you, right? Now, that is something that you need to address, because it is not that it's abnormal, right? Some people take a longer time, some people take a shorter time. There is no set formula to this, even though they say there is these 5 stages. Like I said, it could be longer, shorter. They could be anger and denial together, right? So what is denial? It is a very numb feeling, right? That it's not happened. This is not true, right? And if you hear about somebody's death, it's a different feeling than actually being there, right? So like Damini says, I can't imagine, right, having gone through grandparents, not seeing them while they were alive. So when you find that they have gone away, you go numb. You can't believe it. Say, no, it's not true, right? Especially if you don't see it. And going and seeing it, of course, it takes you to that sensation of reacting to it. But denial can also overlap with what is the next stage? Anger, right? Anger, what does it do to you? It says, this is not fair, right? This is not fair. Like Sushma said, it's not fair that I had to leave conversations incomplete and I didn't get to close, right? And that goes with the next stage, also overlaps, or it comes even before, called bargaining. Like Sonal says, what if I had not gone home that day? Would it have gone, could I have done something that did not result in the death of her father, right? That is where we get stuck, because not being able to move. Now, if Sushma is not able to move from anger to the next step, which is, what if I had those conversations, right? And then from there, it goes to, after that, it goes into a sadness. You go down, right? Saying that I wish I had done this. I wish I had, I feel so bad that I didn't do certain things, right? And then slowly, slowly, slowly over a period of time, it should come to a stage of acceptance. It says that, okay, it happened. Everybody has to go. This person has also gone. Let me move on. And it's not something you can tell yourself. It just has to happen on its own. But any of these stages, if you get stuck, right, it is not possible to move on. It's difficult, extremely difficult to move on. But by yourself, it becomes very, very challenging. And that's where I come in with this, this formula that I have devised. It's more of a individual thing for everybody. So what I will do with Sushma and what I would do with Sonal and what I do with Prachi is the same pattern, of course, right? But it brings in that individual thought process, saying that, okay, this is what I could do, right? This is what I could think of. And it's guided. There are some steps to follow. And at the same time, there is the healing energy of Reiki as well, to make sure that, okay, this is, also clearing up, healing, providing positive energy where you are stuck, so that you can move on to the next one and the next one and move away. Gradually, it becomes, better. You are better equipped to moving on to the next phases, right? So yesterday, before I came for this, I was coming for this session today, but yesterday I got in touch with this she's a classmate of mine, right? So she's a psychotherapist. So I got in touch with her and I said, how are you feeling now? I'm doing a session tomorrow. How are you feeling? How do you feel after the sessions that I've done for you? And she says, without these sessions, I would have been gone, right? I would have been useless to society. I would have been useless to my family. And I definitely would have been useless to my profession, because she would not have been able to deal with anybody else's problems, because hers were looming large in front of her. So having that assurance that, yes, it has worked for her. I did her sessions about 3 years ago, right? When her mother passed away. And she tried after 6-8 months when she came to me. She was a mess. And a psychologist not being able to solve their own problems with other psychologists, it's very surprising. But the fact that she was able to open up to the healing, what I provided to her, it really supported her. And she sent me another couple of people who she was also not able to help with her, with the cognitive healing part of it. I worked with more people, and that just strengthened my belief that these stages that we are talking about, if people move on in a natural progression, they will, if they are able to move on and pass, then they will not have this, they will have sadness, of course. Obviously, you feel incomplete when somebody who in your life has moved on, right? But it doesn't bother them as much as it bothers some people who have not been able to move past it, right? So I'd like to do a small technique for all of you, like I was telling you about it. We will do this. You can do it now. If you have, privacy and you are able to do this, you can go off the videos and you can, just concentrate on what I'm saying. We will do a small guided meditation, okay, along with which I will provide all the people in this, in this room, virtual room that we are in, with Reiki as well, right? You do these 4 or 5 steps. It's a short process, about 15 minutes. And then we will come back and we'll see how you feel and how to take it further after that. Any questions and things like that. Is that okay? Yeah. So for that,
just one question. So
Yeah.
this to be done on a daily basis, we should follow this regularly?
You can, today, if you do this and you find that this is the relief that you're getting, definitely whenever it comes up, you can use it.
Okay.
Always.
And
but
also,
after a while, it will stop going, it will stop pinching you so much, right? So then that means you can reduce the frequency of it. Yeah.
Got it. And second thing is, do you teach also Reiki?
Yes, I teach as well. I have my
So
student right here.
I'll connect with you
here.
separately for
yes,
that. Yeah.
Absolutely. You can find me on
because I'll ping you from there, because I've heard that Reiki helps in helping curing body ailments also, right?
Very
so
much.
I would like to work on a few things. So I've been wanting to learn. Sure, Absolutely. I'll ping you separately. I'll not digress more from the subject and topic. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay. So for this, you don't need to do anything. Okay. You have to just sit back, close your eyes, and just follow my instructions. Okay. So you can, if you're holding your phone, put it down. Otherwise, you can just sit back, be comfortable. Don't cross your hands and legs, because when I'm giving Reiki, you should not have any blocks which cross it. Okay. So Damini, you are sitting in one place. I can't see you. Okay. So, yeah. Damini, you will join us in the visualization. Yeah. Close your eyes and sit. Okay. All right. So in case you are not able to do this right now for any reason, okay, later on a video of this will also be there on YouTube. So you can play it anytime and you can relive it. Okay. So keep your eyes closed and sit back and have a relaxed breathing, right? So focus on your breathing. And bring your breath to be the only thing in your focus. So as you breathe in, you can feel the cool breath going in. And as you breathe out, you can feel the warm breath going out from your body. Breathe in and out. Feel comfortable. Imagine yourself sitting in a bubble of white light all around you. The white light from above your head to below your feet. You feel calm and safe. You are being given Reiki energy to make you safe and relaxed. Now imagine in front of you, you see standing is the person who you lost, the loved one, the close one. They are standing in front of you, hale and hearty, smiling at you. Your joy at seeing that person itself brings out all the grief. You want to reach out, but you know they are not real. See them. Look at them. And see the joy on their face. from being free of all their bondage and sickness, free from all the problems that they were facing. Seeing them makes you cry. You miss them. Let it go. Let it out of your system. You can hear their voice in your head. You can see them so clearly. Say what you want in your mind. They can hear you. Tell them whatever you want. Let it out of your system. Tell them how much you miss them. Keep looking at the glow on their faces. See them happy. You miss that. You miss the time when you were by their sides. Let it go. Tell them what you want to tell them. Realize that they are in a better place. Understand that their love for you hasn't gone down, but they needed to leave you. Say goodbye and know that you can meet them again whenever you want. You are at peace, safe in the white light, surrounded by Reiki and love, and full of joy at having completed what was pending and incomplete gratitude to the soul for coming in front of you again and showing you that they will truly never leave you. Become aware of your surroundings. Focus on your breath again. Slowly, when you are ready, rub your hands together and cover your eyes. And when you are comfortable, slowly open your eyes with a smile. How do you feel? Feeling better? Yeah. Good. Very realistic, no? Like the person is standing in front of you. Very nice. Good. Damini, how do you feel?
I feel much better.
This is the way you release. Okay? So whenever you feel that this is coming in front of you again and again, you can always go back to the video. It will be there on YouTube. Okay? And do it several times. When the tears stop is when you will begin healing. Okay? You have to let it out. You must. You must not suppress. Okay? Whenever you feel that there's something to say, something to hear, right? You can always absolutely use it. Very nice, Harshit. Thank you so much. It works for anybody, everybody, right? Use it again and again, because unless you let it out of your system, it will affect your health, mental health, physical health. We are to take care of ourselves. Even if nobody else is doing it, you are responsible for yourself, right? Sonal, how do you feel? Okay, not able to respond. But I'd like you to, do this from time to time, whenever it comes up. And if you feel after a month or so, if you feel that it's not working as well as you want to, I'd be happy to do an individual session for you, right? Whenever you feel that this is something that is coming up, and it takes time. If it is recent, it'll take some time. But if it has happened some time back and you have lost somebody a long time ago, and still the mention of their name brings tears to your eyes, that means that you have to really examine what you can do about it for yourself. This is the first step. Okay? I'm happy to see that some of you are able to, resolve. It is coming. How do you feel, Sushma? How do you feel?
Quite better.
Quite better. Good.
Yeah.
So those incomplete conversations, right? You can replay this and you can have those conversations. You can ask your questions. The regret is from not completing the conversation, right? Complete it. Have it. But do it with the visualization. It works much more powerfully. Okay? Very nice.
Right. Thank you.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Prachi, how do you feel?
I just want to share something. Actually, the person I lost, it happened like 3 years back. And for one whole year, I was in very bad shape. And then, the exact same things that you said, that imagine that person, hale and hearty, and that you're saying whatever you wanted to say. I actually had a dream which was just barely like, 5 or 10 seconds. And in that dream, I actually saw him, and he was actually much better than what he was when he passed. And so, exactly whatever you said, I know it works, because I mean, you
Yes,
just hit the nail on the head,
absolutely.
because I have experienced it, and obviously it's still not out completely. But I mean, the reason why I was, when you were doing the meditation, I had tears, but that was not because, uh, I mean, after that dream that I had, I started letting go.
Hmm.
The reason why I had tears in my eyes was I could actually feel his love. I mean,
Yes,
right now. So the
very
reason
much.
right now was not regret. Actually, it was just that connection, which I could feel again. So
Absolutely.
I just want to
Absolutely.
share that your method is just, because I fell into it accidentally, and I was lucky enough to have experienced it in a dream. But this is
Yes,
exactly what is needed, that you imagine, that
absolutely.
you believe that that person wants you to let go, and
Yes,
that you are able to communicate with that person. And the biggest thing is that, whether you believe it or not, that person is 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 aware of what you're going through right now. So even if you
absolutely.
feel that, you were not able to share what you
Yes,
wanted to with that person, it doesn't matter, because he or she is hearing you now. So
yes,
believe that. That's all.
absolutely. Very nice. Thank you so much for
Thank you
sharing
so
that.
much
That's
for the
very
experience,
nice.
ma'am. Thank
But
you.
Very
mere
nice.
saath, this
Very
happens
nice.
with me in guided meditation, Vinaya, that I sleep off.
Hmm.
I probably
That's
didn't listen to all your instructions also.
that's okay. See, your mind is exhausted, Sonal,
Hmm.
right? Your mind is exhausted because you're going round and round and round in the same loop,
And then there
right?
are new set of problems and issues to think about also come up, right? So when
Yes,
you've not sorted what happened in the past, how are you going to sort the ones which are there and right in front of you?
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. See, if you do learn Reiki, right?
I
It
want
you
to.
can give Reiki to your past, you can give Reiki to your, future events, you can give Reiki to your current self, and that provides a lot of healing, right? Internally, externally. Prachi is a living example,
I
right?
just want to
Prachi's
share about Reiki.
Please do,
Ma'am
yeah.
taught me Reiki like about 3 months back, and I mean, she had been healing me before that, so I knew it totally worked, but I wasn't sure whether, I could do it myself. But she assured me that even if she kept on saying, even if you're skeptical, you'll see it's gonna work.
awesome.
And I shared with her some of the problems I was facing, and whatever she said at the end of 3 months, I know that, I mean, even if those problems outside of myself are not solved, because I don't have any control over those issues, but I am in general a happier person. I am more optimistic. And in general, I feel better. And I feel कि अगर कुछ गड़बड़ होता भी है तो ठीक हो जाएगा. So I attribute
Very
a lot
nice.
of that to, I mean, my daily
Learning, yes.
learning. So I
So this
totally,
also, that is, thank you so much, Prachi, for the feedback. I would definitely would like to connect with you, Vinaya. But
Sure.
one more thing I wanted to say, for years, I think and now I've accepted this fact that I don't know what happiness is. And for years, you live with that monotonous life wherein each day, every day, you will do one activity, which you will repeat every day.
Hmm.
It's just like
Hmm.
a machine. You become a machine. There is
Machine.
no
Absolutely.
no happiness, no one to talk to, no emotions. You're
True.
just
True.
doing what you're expected to do. And I think I've been
Absolutely.
living that life for a long time. And I really now, in the last 2 years, what I've learned is that now I want to be happy with whatever I
Hmm.
do. I just want some happiness. Not some, I want happiness in my life.
Absolutely. See, the thing is that schedule is okay, routine is okay, tasks are okay, but where do you find your joy, right? But at the same time, if you've been very responsible, okay, or you have been a very strong person, you had to be strong, for instance, right? If those things have been coming in your way, then you're pushing yourself, suppressing yourself, and covering it up with a nice layer, and then you don't find that happiness, right?
Yeah.
It is there. It is probably there in your work as well. It is probably there at home as well. But
In sleep
you have
also,
become numb.
my sleep,
Yes.
yeah, I become numb. That's
Numb.
true, very
Yes.
true. I think
Yeah.
someone rightly have
Yes.
diagnosed, I would say. Yeah.
Absolutely. So
In my
it's
sleep.
quite normal to go through that
Feeling.
problem, and it's good to identify that you don't find yourself finding that joy, right? Damini, I have put my number there. You can also get me on Community Healers. You can also reach out to me there, but I've also put my number. You can reach out to me.
Yeah,
Thank you
I
so
will also
have
Thank
reach
you
out.
so much for this session.
You're
Yeah.
welcome. You're welcome. You can
Thank
go
you.
back to it anytime. Okay, right?
Perfect.
But the thing is that for all of you, right, if you decide that you want to be happy, okay, decide that you want to move on, then little bit of effort we have to put in ourselves, right? And allow yourself to be happy. See, Sonal, what I would say is, right, allow yourself to be joyful. Find out what gives you that joy. Go back to your childhood, right? See what you enjoyed then. And try to, you don't have to become childish, but you become childlike, right? What's the difference? Childish is immature, right? Childlike is that innocence and the joy should be there in something in life. When you go to that activity or when you meet those people or whatever it is, it takes you back to something which you enjoy. But
There is
first
always
you have
a
to
there is always
yes.
a heaviness in the heart. The feeling of heaviness in the heart.
Heaviness in the heart is because you have been suppressing something, you're pushing it away when it tries to come up. See, going through emotions is not easy, but if you go through them, you would feel much better. So our mind is a logical wall to protect us from feeling upset, getting hurt. And they'll say, don't talk about those things. Those are very upsetting things. You should not talk about it. But if you allow yourself to feel, and like I said here, right, if you feel, you let it out of your system, right? And for those, there are some techniques for that as well. If you're interested, we can do it another time. We can go through that as well. But there are so many ways to let go of what is there, which you've been very carefully holding on to, but it is basically holding you down. It is like a rock on your heart, basically, right? So if you let it go, and then you start looking at the simple, small joys of life, you feel much better. But don't protect yourself all the time. Sometimes let it be raw. Let it come out. It's okay. It will not hurt you. All it will do is it will just get it out of your system. That's all. Leave it. Let it go. Right? When
So
you let it
in
go,
what form it will leave you? You by that you mean crying?
not necessary. For some people, crying is not as easy. I mean, punching a pillow may be easier for some people.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah, because it's not easy for me. I cannot cry.
Yeah. Then sometimes breathing can help. Very
just
heavy
talking
breathing.
to friends help.
Absolutely.
Laughing and laughing, because we have a group of friends and we just chit chat, laugh, cry out loud. And
sometimes when you're laughing too much, after that you end up crying. Why? Because it's unlocked that thing inside you which you have kept locked away. So you laugh and laugh and laugh and laugh, and it ends up in crying. Why? Because you have let loose, you have dropped your inhibitions, right? So whatever works for you, whichever method works for you, empty it out once in a while. You can write letters to the people who you want to say things to, and tear it and throw it away or burn it, right? So there are so many techniques. There are so many different things that you can do, where you have to empty out what you have been keeping, because you can't tell anybody, because you can't say it aloud. It is just suppressed, and it is supposed to be inappropriate, right? So letters and paper and pen don't have anything against you. You can do whatever you want with them. Okay.
And suddenly I've developed this pen and paper fetish. I'll buy good, pretty looking diaries and pens. Suddenly, I was never a pen person. From the time one starts working on laptops, who cares about a pen and a paper? But recently, in the last 1 year, I've become a pen and paper person. I'll write down everything.
Do it. Because see, the mind and the hand-eye coordination is very strong, right? It always works much better. So use whatever works for you. Put on sad songs and let it flow. feel miserable once in a while. When you go through that phase, right? I'm sure Sid would have some very other spiritual, ideas as well, right? So there is one way you get philosophical just after, having that kind of thought processes, saying that, okay, ram me dubo, drown your sorrows, eat your way, pig once in a while, enjoy your food and feel miserable. Doesn't matter, it's okay, but let it out of your system. The thing is that we are so regimented all the time. You do this, do this, do this, do this, and then ultimately life is very, very short. Okay, so I wanted to do this, for everybody to see and experience and use, because it is something which is very, very, life is very short. You can see that around you all the time, right? You don't let yourself be held back by anything that you are, that you're pushing inside you. Let it out. It's okay. Be happy and do it for yourself. Don't do it for anybody else. So there's a comment I did not see. Yes. Yes. Very nice, Sri Sudha. That's very nice, right? Mandala and, coloring, the things that kids used to do to keep them occupied. Now they have mandala books for adults as well. Have you seen those? Intensely, very, very complicated things. I bought a couple.
Yes.
I just couldn't concentrate.
Even I do coloring mandala books, and I learned making mandalas also. So I make mandalas on my own also.
Very nice. Very nice. I mean, I just can't get my head around it. So I just abandoned one.
And that gives me a different kind of a peace.
It is a meditation.
I can sit at it for 3 hours and I'll be using my hands, and at the end of it, my hands will also, start paining. But that will give me another type of feeling only.
Yes, absolutely. Whatever takes your concentration to another level is what is very important, right? So wonderful. I will stop the recording now. Okay. And I think that everybody knows